Good morning. You're watching Sahara TV. I'm Chika Odua. Good afternoon to all of our guests elsewhere. We start off our show with an interview with the one and only Professor George Ayittey. He's based right now in Ghana, and he has made some recent controversial comments in regards to Nigeria's President Goodluck Jonathan. Mr. Ayittey is not only an economist, but he's also a professor and the president of the Free Africa Foundation. I'm here with my colleague, Omoyele Shiwore.
Hello, welcome to SaharaTV in New York today. We are on to Professor George Ayittey in Ghana by telephone, and we want to introduce you to Professor Ayittey. Hello, Professor Ayittey.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. You're welcome to SaharaTV in New York, and as you know, the whole world is waiting to hear from you regarding your comments about Dr. Goodluck Jonathan of Nigeria after he made a media chat where he made some comments. One of it you took umbrage at, and we just want to hear from you directly. Nigerians are waiting to hear from you. Africans are waiting to hear from you. Why you thought that Mr. Goodluck Jonathan's speech or media chat was a joke?
Well, the answers that he gave in that media chat was not very good at all. It wasn't inspiring. It was not impressive. And I got the impression that he was trying to give excuses for the problems in Nigeria, rather than, showing the Nigerian people that he's determined to solve these problems. And that was what, didn't impress me at all. And I said, well, look, this guy needs to be serious. He needs to get serious and tackle the problems facing the Nigerian people.
Hello. Well, I think there's some... Hello, Professor Ayittey. Well, I think we lost him there. We're going to bring him back shortly and continue this interview. He's we're reaching him in Ghana, and he did say that he's going to be having some difficulties connecting because of the poor network of mobile phones in Ghana. So we will try and get Professor Ayittey back. Chika, there are some specific things people are asking regarding what he had to say. What are people upset about, and what are people supportive of?
A lot of people are saying that he has no right to
Yes.
say this because he's an outsider. So I'm curious to see what they want to ask him on the show.
Yes, and you can call our show. If we get Professor Ayittey back online, we will open the lines for people to call. Hello, Professor Ayittey. Hello.
I am here.
All right.
I'm here.
Thank you. Welcome back. We'll keep calling you back. We understand that the network is not the best in Ghana. So, one of the things, as you can imagine, is that a lot of Nigerians are upset that, as a Ghanaian, you just cross the line by coming over and discussing internal affairs of Nigeria. What was your reaction to this?
Well, I'm open. If there's a Nigerian who will come here to interview me, or if you guys want to wait for me to come back to the U.S., that would be fine.
No, yeah, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, because the line is, terrible.
I know, but can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, so did you, my question to you is that how do you respond to those Nigerians who said, you have no right to discuss our internal affairs, that you should stay in Ghana and handle Ghanaian affairs?
Well, the thing is, we have similar problems across, Africa. And we also have some problems here in Ghana. And I should like to remind, my Nigerian friends that, look, I've been a critic of the government in Ghana since the 1990s.
Yes.
So a lot of Ghanaians know me that, I'm a critic of the government of Ghana. So, in fact, not just Ghana and Nigeria, but also the governments in Zimbabwe, Ethiopia, and Eritrea.
Yes. Chika, you say you have some questions from...
Right. Professor, you also mentioned that Nigerians should get rid of President Jonathan. Can you give us the basis of this statement? Hello?
We lost him again. Well, we'll keep trying. He's saying that, the network is not the best in Ghana today, but it will be a shame if we can't have him say. So, Chika, you're saying some people are saying, I'm trying to understand what people are upset about, and there's, because this is so controversial. Some people support Professor Ayittey, some don't.
But it's funny because a lot of Nigerians have these same views, but now that a Ghanaian's saying it, they're saying we don't want to hear this.
Oh, wow.
And so they're saying this is blasphemy. He has no right. But again, a lot of these views are expressed by the majority of Nigerians that Goodluck is not doing his job.
Yes. Hello, Professor Ayittey. Hello.
Hello, I'm
Yes,
here.
we'll keep trying. Don't worry. Don't get upset with us. This is the way Africa is, and this is partially part of why you do what you do, which is to criticize these African leaders who always do things halfway, including telephone networks. So, I mean, what you have said is nothing new. Most Nigerians are saying it. And, do you understand why some Nigerians are upset with you? It's gone again. It's gone.
But how about I just read some of the comments that he's been tweeting? He says, look, this GEJ guy is a joke.
Okay.
He's a mediocrity. Nigerians deserve a better leader. And he says that he has not visited Borno State, the center of Boko Haram attacks, because the airport there was not functional at the time he planned the visit. So, and of course, we know that Goodluck traveled to Belgium, also Brazil. So we just want to see what he has to say about that.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I am here.
Okay, so you said that all this is just too many excuses Mr. Goodluck Jonathan had given. For example, his refusal to go to Borno State, which is the heartland of the Boko Haram insurgency. Again, what is it that you think can be done? Why did you say that Nigerians should get rid of him? And if they are going to do that, how do you think they're going to be able to get rid of him, a democratically elected leader?
Well, I wasn't sort of telling Nigerians to get rid of him. I was telling Nigerians that if they don't like his performance, they should get rid of him. I'm not a Nigerian. I can't get rid of Jonathan. I said if they're not happy with his performance, they shouldn't have to wait till 2015. They can get rid of him. There is a constitutional way of doing it, and I pointed it out. Chapter 6 of the Constitution.
So Chapter 6 of Nigerian Constitution says clearly how he can be gotten rid of. Apart from Goodluck Jonathan in Nigeria, which other African leaders you think, in your own eyes and views, don't deserve to be in power today?
Oh, I mean, the problem that we have, in fact, every African will tell you that the problem that we have is bad leadership.
Yes.
Okay? There have been some good leaders, but they are very few. Okay? And it is not just Nigeria, but, we have, look at, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, okay, Sudan.
Well, we lost him there again, and we'll just keep trying. Do you have another comment you want to read? Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, we're back. Okay, so go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, take a look at, the statement that he made about, Borno State, Boko Haram's, hot base. He says he hasn't been able to go there because the airport is not functioning.
Yes.
Now, for a president to say that,
Professor?
Are you still there? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
yes, if the airport is not functioning, fix it. Okay?
Yes.
And, if the Constitution requires you to declare your asset, do so. Don't say, I don't give a damn.
Yes. So another issue is that, have you ever been to Nigeria? Have you ever given any economic advice to Nigerian leaders? What do you think about, this whole economic concept of the Nigeria finance minister who is on a second term in Nigeria now? What do you think about the entire economic policy? Because we know that you criticize this whole World Bank thing sometimes, but there have been times also that you've called for economies in Africa to be taken over by corporations so that they can pay back their debt.
Well, we also have, similar problems, not just in Nigeria, but also in Ghana as well. And, they are not willing to do so. And that's why, me being an economist, I say that, well, look, if you're not willing to take tough economic decisions, then, you shouldn't be blaming other people. You should be blaming yourself for letting that opportunity slide by.
But don't you think that is contradictory? On one side, you say the African leaders should be gotten rid of and the economic policy should be gotten rid of, but then you invite corporations who have been feasting on Africans or African economies or our resources for years to now take sword of African land. Were you just saying that, is that a satirical statement or do you mean it?
No, I haven't.
Hello? Yeah, this is pretty bad line. We would call him one more time. Chika, do you want to read some other comments that we're
Sure.
hearing
So
from
Ayittey
Twitter?
has been very active on Twitter. He says, why should Nigerians be proud of good luck? Name one problem he has solved besides extensive overseas travel with a large entourage. He also says, we struggle very hard to remove one cockroach from power and the next rat comes to do the same thing. And he's quoting a very popular African saying. Then he also says, bad Nigerian leaders left a trail of destruction, collapsed economy, failed state, and human debris in their wake. Name a good one. So, of course, he's continuing to bring the conversation on Twitter, and people are responding. A lot of Nigerians are saying he shouldn't be doing this. He's getting a lot of tweets and retweets.
Hello, Prof.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, we just read some of your very controversial statements, and and like I said, and most people have said, you're not saying anything new. Why do you think Nigerians are in denial?
Well, I think number one, somehow they feel embarrassed.
Oh, okay. So Nigerians are in denial because they feel embarrassed that somebody is telling their story for them. Wow, it's a very difficult network contact. Maybe you should read more of things you said.
Sure. He
Let's do
says,
this one.
also, the situation in Nigeria and many African countries can be described as bad driver, bad vehicle, bad roads, and continued. I think that maybe the embarrassment may come from the fact that he's Ghanaian, and lots of Nigerians say Ghanaian is worse off, it's poor. There was a time in the 80s where they were kicked out of Nigeria, so why is someone who's supposed to be lower coming out to say it is? That's probably part of the embarrassment.
Prof. Hello. Hello, Professor Ayittey. It's crazy. We're struggling with the connection there. He's in Ghana, and this is a shame. It's a part of the problem, and this is partially probably why some Nigerians feel like he has no right to speak about Nigeria because they have.
At least we have better connections on the phone.
Hello?
Yes, we have better connections than you guys have in Ghana. So probably this is why people want you to deal with Ghana first before you go to Nigeria. But at any rate, why do you think Nigerians are embarrassed?
That's that it must take a Ghanaian to point out their problems to them. And there are some of them who are also afraid.
Mm-hmm.
There are some of them who have also simply given up.
Do you think Nigerians have given up?
There are some Nigerians who have given up. They have been exasperated. They have talked and complained, and nothing seems to get done.
So, Ayittey, you also stated that Nigerians have battered souls and spirits. Do you think that's why a lot of them are going to Ghana?
Well, it could be that. Don't forget that we also went to Nigeria in 1983.
Wow, but you are back in Ghana now. It seems like you feel better in Ghana. You can even criticize the Ghanaian government from inside of Ghana. Were you able to do this in the 80s? Wow,
Lost him again.
Yeah.
Well, how about we go to a break so we can now start taking Skype calls?
Maybe we'll try to reach him one more time, and then we'll go on break, and we can take calls from Nigerians. I'm sure a lot of people are waiting to be part of this. Hello, SaharaTV viewers. Sorry about the technical issue. I think we have Professor Ayittey back online now, and we'll try and ask him some of the questions we already asked about his comment regarding President Goodluck Jonathan of Nigeria after his media chat. Professor Ayittey, you're welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. So let's go back to your comments again. As started this whole firestorm of reactions. Where do you think Nigerians are most upset with you? Why do you think they are upset with you in the first place? Those who are upset with you.
Well, somehow I think they felt somewhat embarrassed that it might take a Ghanaian to sort of wade into Nigeria's complex and intricate problems. And some of them felt that why should it take a Ghanaian to come and tell us, what we should do? there's that kind of embarrassment. And there are also some who, and I think there are a lot of Ghanaians who agree with what I said. And I could see that from the responses that I get on Twitter.
Yes, as a matter of fact, what we are seeing is that a lot of people know that these problems are there. A lot of people agree that Jonathan is not performing. But we also see some intellectuals, so to speak, who are taking you on and saying, you haven't said anything new and, this is just red herring.
Well, like I promised that, show how, we can go about, solving a problem. And sometimes, when you are right in the thick of a problem, it's very difficult for you to see your way out. And it must take sometimes an outsider, to say that, to point you in the right direction. I'm writing a piece, how Nigeria can, we can make Nigeria work again. And those who, do not like it, should put forward, a better proposal. So what I'm engaged in is constructive criticism.
So have you ever heard from Nigerian leaders? Apparently you know some of them, people like Ngozi, who is now Ngozi Owela, who is now Minister of Finance. Do they call you and say, either leave us alone or, can you help?
Well, I haven't heard from any of them. And I'm always available, if they want my advice, sure, I'll be more than willing to give it to them. But I don't want to be arrogant and say that, I alone have the solutions to Nigerians' problems. What I have done is I have literally stirred, the honest nest, okay? And so that Nigerians can begin to start thinking about new ways of solving their problems. That's all that I'm doing. That's all that a professor can do. And also, in the meantime, offer my own sort of solutions. If you like it, take it. If you don't like it, reject it.
Like I was asking earlier before we had the phone problems, in the 80s, Ghana used to be where Nigeria is now. You had bad economy, you had very repressive leadership. And people like you, I don't know, were you able to do this in Accra in the 80s, criticize and just, go to bed and chill?
I think, if you ask any Ghanaian, most Ghanaians know that I've been a very ferocious critic of past governments, especially the Rawlings regime.
Yes.
Look, I was one of those who brought change to Ghana. A lot of Ghanaians will tell you.
Yes.
If you ask Ghanaians to name 100 people who brought change to Ghana, I'll be one of them. Okay, so I am not just, coming out of the wilderness and just, shooting my mouth. I have been in the trenches. We have fought for change in Ghana. And this is one of the reasons why Ghana is doing well. Okay, although right now we still have some problems. So I am somebody who has been battle tested, okay? So some of my experience may be relevant, to Nigerians.
Well, the truth is that Nigeria needs just more than, paper criticism. It requires maybe people putting their feet to the ground. If I were to ask you, beyond just saying this on Twitter, if there's a Nigerian movement today, like we had in January of, Occupy Nigeria, would you be willing to work with them? Would you be willing to match with them? Would you be willing to hold hands with them?
Oh yeah, by all means, I'll be willing to work with, the Nigerian movement. Look, we have fought battles, okay, in apartheid South Africa, okay? We have fought battles, in Kenya, in Ghana, okay? And there are certain, tricks and techniques and certain solutions which have been tried elsewhere, which Nigerians can also try. All right. So it is not. Look, I'm coming from a Pan-Africanist, perspective. We got common problems in Africa, and so we need to pull together to solve these problems. You can't say that Nigerians' problems are for Nigerians alone to solve. The South Africans, the blacks in South Africa, didn't say so. Okay, the blacks in South Africa got help. Okay, from fellow Africans. So if Nigerians could get help from fellow Africans, that should be well. Here in Ghana, we also got help from even Nigerians when we were trying to remove Rawlings from power. We got lots of help from Nigerians.
I mean, one other question I'd like to ask you, Professor, is that, there's a growing problem of Nigerians in Ghana, according to them, being mistreated by the Ghanaian government, and a lot of them are thinking that this is some kind of xenophobia where you just separate Nigerians and you treat them differently. The Ghanaian police, they claim it's hostile. the Ghanaian institutions are hostile to their businesses, to their persons. Why do you think that is happening? Why is Ghana intolerant of their big brother across? Some 34 minutes flight away from Ghana, Accra.
So I don't think there is an official policy of xenophobia against Nigerians here. Look, there is an ECOWAS protocol, and the ECOWAS protocol says that any West African can come to Ghana, but you can stay for 3 months. Okay. That is the limit that the ECOWAS protocol gives. Okay. Now, if Nigerians want to come here, they are free to come here. But then you see, if they stay more than 3 months, then the government will start asking questions. We don't have it's not just Nigerians. We also have problems with Chinese here. There are some Chinese who are even into illegal gold mining. Okay, some of them have been arrested. There are some Chinese who are even engaged in retail trade. Retail trade has been reserved for Ghanaians, for the indigents. So the government is also, taking some of them to court. Okay. So in other words, the government of Ghana is trying to protect the interests of Ghanaians, just as, the Nigerian government takes care of, the interests of Nigerians.
But as a Pan-Africanist, I assume that you would want an Africa where there's open trade, where people, and any African can go to any part of Africa and just have the same rights as those on the ground. Are you on one side a Pan-Africanist and on the other supporting the Ghanaian government or the ECOWAS protocol that seems to have some kind of protectionism of a Ghanaian economy?
Well, if you ask me, I'll tell you that I've always been of the belief that there should be completely open borders, free movements of goods and people, just as we had in pre-colonial Africa. But right now, we have an ECOWAS protocol. I mean, all countries should agree, to that ECOWAS. All countries agree to that ECOWAS protocol. And that's what the government is enforcing it,
Let me ask you, are you satisfied with the progress of Ghana at this point? To the extent that you can say, well, I'm proud of Ghana, maybe there's less criticism of the Ghanaian government at this point from you. Are you satisfied with the progress Ghana is making? And if so, why so?
Well, I have been critical of the current government in Ghana. Number one, we have, the government sector here is too big. We have something like 84 ministers and deputy ministers. The number is just way outrageous. And we also have a government which doesn't live within its means. It's constantly borrowing. And because it is constantly borrowing, the interest rates on the markets have shot up. And we also have, serious corruption scandals here in Ghana. You may have, heard about the Woyome scandal, and there's one, it's about judgment debt. So we got problems here in Ghana. And it's, even with Rawlings has been attacking President, Atanos, daily in the newspapers. And it's very, very likely that, even the ruling party may split up, and Rawlings may split it up. So we got problems here in Ghana.
Yeah. But you're apparently more satisfied with the progress of Ghana than that of Nigeria.
Well, we in terms of income per capita, we've done we've done quite well. Our income per capita now stands at something like $700, dollars per head. Nigeria's income per capita has dropped dramatically.
To how much? Do you have an idea? Can you give us what the income per capita is for Nigerians at this time?
Oh, okay. Income per capita is simply taking the gross national product, that is everything that is produced in the country, and dividing that by the number of people in the country. That's income per capita.
So how much is it for Nigeria? Nigerians like figures to be broken down to their level. How much are we now? What is the income per capita for Nigerians now?
290. 290.
290.
And compare that 290 and compare that to income per capita at independence in 1960, and it was 260.
Wow.
So in other words, for all these years, Nigeria has only increased its income per capita by just $30.
Wow.
And it should never be.
Wow. So, but what happens to, like I mentioned earlier, and you were trying to address that a little, what happens to the economic policies brought by your friends from Washington, D.C., like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala? What do you think about her intervention? This is her second term as finance minister.
Well, in Cote Venezuela, her hands are tied up, okay? One of the things, you remember that, he joined the Obasanjo regime and he was able to secure $5 billion in debt relief for Nigeria, if you remember.
Yes.
And then, suddenly, they sacked her, they quietly moved her to the foreign ministry and moved her out of the finance ministry. Because there were crooks there who didn't like the type of job that she was doing. She was, sort of, they thought she was snooping around too much. So they shifted her to the foreign, ministry portfolio. So, to clean up, I really admire her, her tenacity in trying to clean up the system. But it's just that, when you go into the system and you try to clean it up, you face all kinds of resistance. Okay?
But let me ask you, if your hands were tied the first time, and would you go back to work in the same capacity with tied hands the second time? Doesn't that sound like an oxymoron?
Well,
I mean, why would you like a job in which your hands are always tied and you can't perform? There must be something in it for her that she loves to go back to work in a place where her hands are tied.
Well, she was just a minister under Obasanjo regime, okay? And Obasanjo had to give her the authority to carry out, certain measures, okay? She may say one thing, but the president can overrule her. And that's what I mean by her hands being tied up.
But in this,
okay?
in her second tour of duty, she actually was able to choose a bigger portfolio for herself. I can't remember how it is now, but this is even an unconstitutional portfolio where she's Minister for Economy and Finance and all of that jargon put together. So it shows that she had more leverage. She was able to choose what she wanted to do, but it doesn't look like Nigeria has benefited anything since her return, according to what you even said, that we have dropped in terms of per capita income.
Yes, and when you're in a cabinet, it's teamwork. You cannot be a sort of a firebrand in a cabinet, or a rogue, minister trying to pull the whole ship in one way, and the others wanting to pull it the other way.
Yes. Okay,
so that's how I see how her problems were. Look, Nigeria has brilliant economies, okay, and they have brilliant scholars. Okay, but when you put them in the system is so rotten that when you put them in the system, the system will simply swallow them up.
Do you think that if you were given, they say, the finance minister position in Nigeria, or the position she is in now, it will swallow you up as well?
Oh, no. Look, I often say that you got a bad driver, you got a bad vehicle, you got bad roads. You have to fix the vehicle. You have to fix the entire system. Okay? You have to make sure that the institutions work. Okay? That you have to make sure that the judiciary works, parliament works. Okay? And you also have to make sure that the security forces work, because one person alone can't clean up all these, various institutions.
The reason why I'm asking you is that that's part of the criticism we're getting for you on Twitter, is that, it's easy to just sit down in an armchair and criticize. But if they make you come to Nigeria as finance minister in 1 week, you'll be so overwhelmed that you would have become part of them. It would have swallowed you up. But you're saying, no, you won't allow yourself to be swallowed up. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no. No, I wouldn't be part of it. Look, before I become a finance minister, I would like to have an independent central bank. Okay, right now you don't have an independent central bank in Nigeria.
Okay.
And the central bank in the rot started in the 1980s, even during the military rule, when the military dictators could sort of put a gun to the governor of the central bank of Nigeria and ask the central bank to sort of borrow money to the government. Okay, this was one of the reasons why the naira collapsed. Okay, in 1986. Okay, so there's no point in being a finance minister if you don't have an independent central bank. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Okay. So what do you think is the way forward? This is a question people always ask. You have recommended Nigerians should get rid of Goodluck Jonathan. How do they go about this? That is, if you did mention earlier, and I want you to repeat that because that's one of the controversial comments you made. People are saying, are you asking for the overthrow of the Nigerian government? And you said no. So what's your recommendation?
No. I wasn't asking for the overthrow of the Nigerian government. You know, the point which I was trying to make is that, you know, look, we got to get serious. We need to get Nigeria moving again and making Nigeria work again. And how's the best way of doing it? The best way of doing it, my approach is constitutional or institutional. Okay? Take a look at the Constitution. As a matter of fact, you know, the statement that, you know, President Jonathan made that made me very angry was that when he was asked to declare his assets, you know, he said he wouldn't, and he doesn't give a damn. Look, you can't say that you don't give a damn to a constitutional requirement. Okay, Chapter 6, you know, Section, you know, 140 requires the president, you know, to declare his assets. You can't hold the Constitution in contempt. Even in our traditional system, okay, a chief is required to take an oath of office. The chief can't hold the oath of office in contempt and still remain chief. It can't happen.
Yes.
All right, look, the problem that I see with Nigeria is that nobody is following the Constitution. The state governments are not following the Constitution. Look, back in 2000, the state of Zamfara was the first one, okay, to declare, you know, Zamfara, the Sharia law in Zamfara. That was unconstitutional. A section, you know, read Chapter 2 of the Nigerian Constitution. It says that no state shall declare, okay, any religion as a state religion. It is in the Constitution. So if the governors are not following the Constitution and the president himself is not following the Constitution, then what keeps Nigerians together?
Let me ask you, are you going to keep speaking and talking and tweeting and chatting about the problem of Nigeria as we go forward, regardless of how much support you get and regardless of how much opposition you get?
Oh, I'll continue to. No, it's not just, you know, I'm criticizing Nigerians. Look, Nigerians people, you know, have always been dynamic. I've always admired Nigerians people. They're always bubbling with energy and dynamism and so forth. But like I said, you know, their spirits are broken.
Yeah.
And they are so battered by, you know, incompetent and brutal governments. Okay? So how do we extricate ourselves from this particular problem? One of the ways by which they can extricate themselves from this problem, number one, is to make sure that everybody obeys the same law. That is the Constitution. Right now, you know, there's very little of what you may call the rule of law.
Yes.
Some people hold the Constitution in contempt. Boko Haram wants, you know, one form of laws. Another group wants another form of laws. It's chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So, if Nigerians want to save their country, all Nigerians must obey one law.
Yes.
That's what will unify Nigerians. That's my view.
I have one question for you, which has to do with, again, an extension of my question about public intellectuals in Africa. Most of African leaders relied on public intellectuals, economists, World Bank, IMF trained, Harvard trained, Columbia trained, all kinds of, Western trained economists. How much of Africa's problem today do you think we can attribute to the so-called, public intellectuals who have acted in several official capacities to help bring down the condition of an average African man? Most of them acting as lackeys of Western economic models that have destroyed African economies.
Well, I'll say that they are also part, of the problem. My own profession has also been part of the problem.
Okay.
Now, it's the first to admit it. We have had intellectual failure, okay? Intellectual leadership failure as well as political leadership failure.
Yes.
All right? Look, we are Africans. We're not Americans. We're not Chinese. We have our own culture. We have our own heritage, okay? And I have always argued that, look, the way forward for Africa is for Africa to return to its own indigenous institutions and building upon them. Okay? We had markets in Africa before the colonialists stepped foot on the continent. Okay? So why don't we build on our markets? I'll tell you right now. Look, go to Onitsha market. Okay? You will find entrepreneurship there. Okay? You find dynamism there. You don't need economists from the World Bank to come and teach Nigerians what is entrepreneurship. It's already there.
Yes.
Okay, so why don't we build upon it? Okay? We don't need, economists from the IMF for foreign economies. In fact, many of these so-called foreign intellectual experts, they don't know squat, okay, about our own traditional system or traditional economies.
But doesn't that contradict my last question? Doesn't that contradict, your suggestion in those days in the Wall Street Journal where you said that some countries of Africa should lease their cities to Western corporations to run them for years? Are you still saying in that statement now that Africans are in that? Do you mean that Africans are incapable of running their economies? In contradiction to the fact that already before the colonialists came, we knew how to do business.
No, I haven't said that African economy should be given to corporations to run. I've never said so.
Okay, so this is you probably was misquoted on this one.
Oh, certainly I was misquoted.
Yeah.
I'm somebody who always believes in African solutions for African problems.
Yes.
So it is, it is unthinkable that George Ayittey, will ask, African economies to be given to foreign corporations to run. I'll never say something like this.
Yes. Let me ask you on a final note, have you been to Nigeria before?
Oh, many times. Let me tell you this, the foundation, the Free Africa Foundation.
Yeah. And have you been to Nigeria? Have you been to Nigeria in recent times?
Oh, yes. We were doing malaria-free zones, okay, in 3 villages, okay. Igbo Alejo, Sabokoji. Okay, we even built a clinic in Sabokoji. Okay, it's one of the islands in the Lagos Lagoon. Okay, we have a partner in Nigeria that we're working with. It's called the Institute for Public Policy Advocacy. And last time I was in Nigeria was in 2009. So I've gone to Nigeria quite often because of the projects that we're doing there.
All right. Are you worried that if you go back to Nigeria this time around, you might have to spend a few days with the SSS?
I may have to what?
That you might have to spend a few days with the secret police in view of the fact that Nigerian government do not tolerate dissent, and they usually harass, opposition figures or activists who speak out their mind, who speak truth to power.
Well, I express a viewpoint, there's freedom of expression, even recognized by ECOWAS protocol. I express a viewpoint. And if I express a viewpoint that I didn't like, the responses that the Nigerian government, Jonathan gave in a media interview, I don't see there's anything wrong with it that should warrant, my arrest or detention or whatever.
Okay, harass. Well, Professor Ayittey, thank you so much for coming on our show, and we hope that when you get back to Washington, D.C., they said in 2 weeks' time, we can have you on Skype to talk more about this. We had a lot of technical problems today. We apologize from our team here, and we apologize to our viewers that we couldn't get you to speak consistently as we wanted when the show started. But we're glad that we got you back, and you were able to clarify some of your position. And we hope you will continue to speak truth to power. Regardless of whose ox is God, regarding Nigeria, and we'll keep following you. And do you have any last words for your followers and opponents on Twitter?
Oh, the last word that I have for my followers is to keep up the struggle, and I am, more than willing to help, in any way that I can. So keep up the luta continua.
Professor Ayittey, thank you so much, Victoria Sata. And we hope to talk to you very soon. Viewers, it's been Sahara TV, and we'll be talking to Professor George Ayittey, the man who made the controversial comment that the media shot of President Goodluck Jonathan of Nigeria was a joke. And he explained that the reason why he says so is because it is what it is, a joke.